Hi there. It's Saturday night and the weather is turning cooler, and that means it's time to make a New England supper that's been a tradition for centuries. Good old Boston baked beans. All I can say is, if you've only had canned baked beans, you have no idea what you're missing. Take a look and see for yourself. We're making a double batch of baked beans here, and we're using 2 pounds of Great Northern beans. Here's a tip for soaking your beans. Be sure to use a saltwater brine rather than just plain water. There's a popular belief that salt water will harden the beans, but it's been shown that salt water works even better to soften the beans. So we're using 4 teaspoons of salt and 2 quarts of water. Now we cover the beans and let them soak for 12 hours. Boston baked beans are made with a lot of brown sugar and molasses, and remember, when pouring molasses, be sure to grease the inside of the measuring cup with a couple of drops of olive oil first. I'm surprised they don't sell Boston baked bean sauce, because this would make a good barbecue sauce. The original baked beans recipe didn't use tomato paste, but I think it works great in this dish. And don't forget the secret ingredient, ground cloves. We mix it together and our bean sauce is ready to be used. Now we chop up 2 onions and a pound of bacon. Because of course you gotta have bacon. Now here's an optional ingredient I love adding to my baked beans, namely lots of pork. Just cut up 2 pounds of pork into large pieces. Now we can drain the soaked beans. Don't save the bean water because it has a lot of salt in it. And now it's time to break out a big cast iron pot. Start heating up the pot and also begin preheating the oven to slow cook the beans. When the pot is ready, add the bacon and fry it to render out the fat. This usually takes between 5 and 10 minutes. At this point, remove the bacon and add the pork pieces. We only need to fry the pork pieces for a few minutes because we're going to be cooking these for several hours. Now we remove the pork and leave all of that fat in there and add the chopped onions. After a few minutes, when the onions are getting soft, it's time to add the beans. And now we stir in the bean sauce and mix it all together. And now we add in the cooked bacon. Now we add a little more than 4 cups of water to the pot. And finally, we add the pork pieces into the pot. Cover it with a lid, and into the oven it goes to slow cook at 260 degrees Fahrenheit. And after slow cooking for 8 hours, here is a cauldron full of Boston baked beans. These beans had everything I was hoping for. They were soft and chewy, but not mash. There was just as much pork in this pot as there were beans, and that's a huge difference from the tiny bit of pork fat you'd get in a typical can of pork and beans. And this is a typical New England Saturday night supper, one that makes me proud of my New England heritage. It takes a long time to prepare the beans and slow cook them, but the results are definitely worth it. Boston baked beans are world famous, and they certainly deserve their reputation. I learned how to cook 13 years ago, and all I can say is this is one of my all-time favorite dishes to make in cast iron, and I'm proud to share this with you. I hope you've enjoyed this classic New England dish, and thank you for watching.